Champions adjust. Champions adjust. And because I have every place that I can look in my home office the words champions adjust. Whether it was World War I, World War II, the crisis of 2008, 9/11, all through your life, you're going to have devastating circumstances. Champions adjust, right? 6 months from now, there's a whole world of people that are still going to be blaming the coronavirus. You're right. It probably is going to be devastating for years in the future. However, there's going to be the people that have overcome whatever the coronavirus can throw at them. Champions adjust, right? We're imperfect people living in an imperfect world. You have to have this champions adjust mentality. Whatever gets thrown at you, you're going to overcome, right? I will do today what others will not, so I can live tomorrow as others cannot. Now, I know that sounds like a slogan, and it looks great on, when it's written down. That is a reality. That is your new normal. That is your life right now. Everything that you had before is gone. If you were struggling to make it before, how in the world are you going to make it now when things are going to be nothing but harder? Today, we're going to do sales triage. Sales triage was what I call a compendium. This was actually developed over a lot of people. When I first get a contact or when they first call me, they say, Don, we need to start making sales immediately. What are we going to do? And we had all these little fragments of things that we knew work. And we were saying, well, we're going to do this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And finally, it was like, well, can you just put them all in one big session? And that's how sales triage came around. Now, anybody who's involved with medical first responders understands the concept of triage. Certainly, the demands on our hospitals and everything that's happening right now puts that into new light. The concept of triage is taking the most successful things and using them right now. So what you're looking at is our sales triage. If you came to me and said, Don, I can't make payroll in 5 days. Don, I can't pay my rent. I can't put the lease on my building. These are the things that I would encourage you to do. All right? So let's just start with that right off the get-go. Number one, proximal relationship to sale. But this right here, that's your client. All right? And your client, by the way...
Nice hairdo.
Yeah, isn't that good? All right? Your client, by the way, is the person that has the money. That's a dollar sign in their hand. Okay? This person right here, they're the person that knows the person who has the money. All right? They're the person who knows the person that has the money. And this is me. All right? This is me. All right? So I want to make sure everybody gets that. This is me. This is the buyer. And this is the person who knows the buyer. All right? Now, what happens in most cases, especially if people are in the networking, all right? So the proximal relationship concept says that you need to spend 75% of your time with the buyer directly and 25% of your time with the person who knows the buyer. So let me make sure that, because this you may not have seen this before. The idea of proximal relation to sales says, I'm going to be spending 75% of my time with the actual buyers and only 25% of my time with the people who know the people who are going to be the buyers. So that's kind of what it normally looks like in most places. So when you go to a networking session, most people go to a networking session under the concept that they want to meet somebody with the idea that that person would introduce them into someone else. All right? The problem being is the person you're actually talking to, they in fact might be a potential prospect for you. And yet we don't. Now, that doesn't mean I want you to go to every networking group selling. I always encourage you to go first as a buyer, right? So John had mentioned something, and he's right. I always say yes. I say yes to everything. That doesn't mean that I buy everything. I want to make sure I put that caveat. But if you've got a better mousetrap, if you think you've got something that would be beneficial, I will absolutely find 15 minutes, a half hour, whatever. It might be at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it might be at 10 o'clock at night. But if I think you have a better mousetrap or you think you have a better mousetrap, I'm more than happy to give you that audience. Again, I say yes to everything. That doesn't mean that I buy everything. But what happens is the people who say no to everything never find out if they have a better mousetrap. They don't know if what they're saying no to might truly, in fact, change their life. So I want you to, number one, proximal relationship to sale. So this is me as the salesperson. This is a person who knows the person that has the money. Now, most people spend about 100% of their time with this person, right? They're always going to, they're going to Starbucks and they're having meetings and they're introducing themselves and they're going to networking events and they're investing all their time with the person that knows the person that has the money. The problem being is that now you need to have this person be as good of a salesperson about your products and services as you are. And what's the likelihood of that? Right? Very poorly. And the same works out through if you were talking in a business, right? So say, for example, this is the CEO of the company. And this is some lower level person, but it's easy to get a hold of, right? A lot of people do nothing but talk to the purchasing agent, talk to the purchasing agent, talk to the purchasing agent, and never actually talk to the person who signs the checks or has the money.
Right.
So proximal relation to sales, number one, says that you are going to invest 75% of your time actually talking to the person that has the money, the person that's making the decision. Only 25% actually talking to the person who may know the person who has the money. Now, that doesn't mean you don't go to networking events. No, of course not. But what I want you to do is be cogent of the amount of time that you spend. Because if you invest all of your time with the person that knows the person that's going to be the buyer, you're really going to struggle. Because now that person becomes you. Right? That person becomes your selling agent. And more times than not,